Alright, so let's pick back up and see what happens after Tea Cake's death. So that same day of Janie's great sorrow, she was in jail. And when the doctor told the sheriff about and the judge how it was, they all said she must be tried that same day. No need to punish her in jail by waiting. 3 hours in jail, and then they set the court for her case. The time was short and everything, but sufficient people were there. Plenty of white people came to look on this strangeness, and all the black community for miles around. Who was it didn't know about the love between Tea Cake and Janie? The course set, and Janie saw the judge who had put on a great robe to listen about her and Tea Cake. And 12 more white men had stopped whatever they were doing to listen and pass on what happened between Janie and Tea Cake Woods, and as to whether things were done right or not. This was funny too. 12 strange men who didn't know a thing about people like Tea Cake and her were going to sit on the thing. 8 or 10 white women had come to look at her too. They wore good clothes and had the pinky color that comes of good food. They were nobody's poor white folks. What need had they to leave their richness to come look on Janie in her overalls? But they didn't seem too mad, Janie thought. It would be nice if she could make them know how it was instead of those menfolk. Oh, and she hoped that undertaker was fixing Tea Cake up fine. They ought to let her go see about it. Yes, and there was Miss Prescott that she knew right well, or Mr. Prescott that she knew right well, and he was going to tell the 12 men to kill her for shooting Tea Cake. And a strange man from Palm Beach who was going to ask them not to kill her. And none of them knew. Then she saw all of the black people standing up in the back of the courtroom, packed tight like a case of celery, only much darker than that. They were all against her, she could see. So many were there against her that a light slap from each one of them would have beat her to death. She felt them pelting her with dirty thoughts. So what happened during and after Tea Cake's death? So Tea Cake is determined to shoot Janie, and Janie shoots him with the rifle to save herself, and she holds Tea Cake as he's dying. And even then, the rabies is still taken over his mind, and he tries to bite her arm, and he bites her arm, but he doesn't break the skin. And she silently thanks him for giving her the chance for loving service. And then, after this really devastating scene where Tea Cake dies, Janie is sent to jail, but she's given a trial on the same day because it's so clear that she's innocent. And so, let's see how this trial goes. They were there with their tongues cocked when the doctor told the sheriff and the judge how it was. They all said she must be tried that same day. I forgot that I have more to say about this page. So who are the people who've come to the trial? So let's look at the second half of the page that I just read. So Janie doesn't understand why there are wealthy white women at her trial and why they are there. So it mentions that around here where she notices that there are wealthy white women. And so the question is, why are they there? And also, she is frustrated that there are men speaking about her and Tea Cake's relationship as opposed to her. And so during the trial, there are people coming up to speak, and there are men that she doesn't really know, and that they're talking about her and Tea Cake's relationship, and she feels as though she's the only person who should really be able to talk about it. And the people who who are on the stand are testifying subjectively. And so it kind of brings it up here where Mr. Prescott is going to say that she should die for shooting Tea Cake, and then there's a man from Palm Beach who should say that they shouldn't kill her. And it's the idea that they're all kind of using their own opinion to shade the proceedings, as opposed to the truth that Janie knows and wants to share. And then Janie also realizes that the black attendees believe she is guilty. And so why do they feel this way? And so we see a lot of complexities here. We see that the scene is filled with complexities of racism, sexism, and classism. And I mentioned earlier in the previous videos for this chapter that Hurston's really going to focus on kind of the dangerous realities of discrimination during this time period. And we're going to see it in this scene, not only with the discrimination of racism, but also with sexism and classism. So let's see what occurs. They were there with their tongues cocked and loaded, an only real weapon left to the weak folks, the only killing tool they are allowed to use in the presence of white folks. So it was all ready after a while, and they wanted people to talk so that they could know what was right to do about Janie Woods, the relic of tea cakes Janie. The white part of the room got calmer the more serious it got, but a tongue storm struck the black community like wind, or the black attendees, like wind among palm trees. They talked all of a sudden and all together like a choir, and the top parts of their bodies moved on the rhythm of it. They sent word by the bailiff to Mr. Prescott they wanted to testify in the case. Tea Cake was a good boy. He had been good to that woman. No woman ain't never been treated no better. No, sir. He worked like a dog for her and nearly killed himself, saving her from the storm. Then soon as he got a little fever from the water, she had took up with another man, sent for him to come there from way off. Hanging was too good. All they wanted was a chance to testify. The bailiff went up, and the sheriff and the judge and the police chief and the lawyer all came together to listen for a few minutes. Then they parted again, and the sheriff took the stand and told how Janie had come to his house with the doctor, and how he found things when he drove out to hers. Then they called Dr. Simmons, and he told about Tea Cake's sickness and how dangerous it was to Janie and the whole town, and how he was scared for her and the thought to have Tea Cake locked up in the jail, but seeing Janie's care he neglected to do it. And how he had found Janie all bit in the arm, sitting on the floor and petting Tea Cake's head when he got there, and the pistol right by his hand on the floor. Then he stepped down. Any further evidence to present, Mr. Prescott, the judge asked. No, Your Honor. The state rests. The palm tree dance began again among the black attendees in the back. They had come to talk. The state couldn't rest until it heard. Mr. Prescott, I got something to say, Top to Bottom spoke out anonymously from the anonymous herd. The courtroom swung around on itself to look. If you know what's good for you, you better shut your mouth up until somebody calls on you, Mr. Prescott told him coldly. Yes, sir, Mr. Prescott. We are handling this case. Another word out of you, out of any of you back there, I'll bind you over to the big court. Yes, sir. The white women made a little applause, and Mr. Prescott glared at the back of the house and stepped down. Then the strange white man that was going to talk for her got up there. He whispered a little with the clerk and then called on Janie to take the stand. After a few little questions, he told her to tell just how it happened and speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help her God. They all leaned over to listen while she talked. First thing she had to remember was that she was not at home. She was in the courthouse fighting something, and it wasn't death. It was worse than that. It was lying thoughts. She had to go back to let them know how she and Tea Cake had been with one another, so they could see she could never shoot Tea Cake out of malice. She tried to make them see how terrible it was that things were fixed, so that Tea Cake couldn't come back to himself until he had gotten rid of that mad dog that was in him, and he couldn't get rid of the mad dog and live. He had to die to get rid of the dog. But she hadn't want to kill him. A man is up against a hard game when he must die to beat it. She made them see how she couldn't ever want to be rid of him. She didn't plead to anybody. She just sat there and told, and when she was through, she hushed. So let's pause right there. So how are the complexities of discrimination shown in this courtroom scene? So the poor black community from the Glades perceived Janie as a light-skinned, rich woman who killed their friend. And so from their perspective, Janie essentially married Tea Cake and kind of stayed with him until she was bored. And then when he got kind of sick, she killed him and then ran off to be with Mrs. Taylor's husband. And so they perceive her as being an outsider who killed their friend and ran off to be with another man. And so the white women, however, perceive the poor black community from the Glades as ignorant and vicious. And alternatively, they sympathize with Janie, seeing her as a beautiful woman who is threatened by a black man. And so we see a lot of judgment here, where the black community from the Glades is judging Janie, and the white women are judging the community from the Glades, but sympathizing with Janie. And there's kind of this kind of mess of complexities at work here, and so we have to try to figure out what's going on. So while the white women are sympathizing with our protagonist Janie, they're also demonstrating terrible racism and classism against the black community. And this is further aggravated by no one from the black community being allowed to testify. So Mr. Prescott is essentially the prosecution who is prosecuting Tea Cake's case. And the people from the Glades want to speak their perspective, and they're not allowed to. And they're denied the ability to kind of share their perspective. And so that furthers their aggravation against not only Janie, who they see essentially as being just as against them as the white women in the court, and also Mr. Prescott. But also, it just frustrates their sense that at any point, one of them could be killed and the murderer would get away with it. And so that's their feeling in this moment. So let's pick back up reading. She had been through for some time before the judge, and I apparently have more to say. So when Janie is finally allowed to testify, what is it that she says? So we're still on the same page. Janie realizes that her testimony isn't fighting death, but rather lying thoughts. And so how does this fit into the motif of the community? So again, we're still on the same page. And so the Black community from the Glades has come there, and they have this perspective in their head as to what's happened. And Janie realizes that she isn't fighting against a death sentence. She's fighting against the things that they're thinking about her that aren't true, and that would ruin kind of the legacy of her love with tea cake. And so this does fit into the motif of community and this idea of gossip and about kind of like the whole community going against an individual who doesn't fit in. And it shows kind of like one of the negative outcomes of maybe a community that isn't entirely at peace with all the members inside the community. And so what Janie shares on the stand is how much she loves tea cake, how the rabies affected him, how she didn't want to kill him, and how killing him was the only way to save him from the rabies. And she hopes by sharing this, she'll be able to show them what the truth is. Alright, so let's move on. She had been through for some time before the judge and the lawyers, and the rest seemed to know it, but she sat on in the trial chair until the lawyer told her she could come down. And so in this scene, what does Janie fear? The defense rests, her lawyer said. Then he and Prescott whispered together, and both of them talked to the judge in secret up high there where he was. They both sat down. Gentlemen of the jury, it's for you to decide whether the defendant has committed a cold-blooded murder or whether she is a poor broken creature, a devoted wife trapped by unfortunate circumstances, who really, in firing a rifle bullet into the heart of her late husband, did a great act of mercy. If you find her a wanton killer, you must bring in a verdict of first-degree murder. If the evidence does not justify that, then you must set her free. There is no middle course. The jury filed out, and the courtroom began to drone with talk. A few people got up and moved about, and Janie sat like a lump and waited. It was not death she feared. It was misunderstanding. If they made a verdict that she didn't want tea cake and wanted him dead, then that was a real sin and a shame. It was worse than murder. Then the jury was back, out 5 minutes by courthouse clock. We find the death of Virgil Woods to be entirely accidental and justifiable, and that no blame should rest on the defendant, Janie Woods. So what does Janie fear? So Janie, this comes directly from what I just read. It was not death that she feared, it was misunderstanding. And so, as I mentioned on the previous slide, she doesn't fear being put to death. She fears people misinterpreting what happened and kind of saying that the love that she felt for tea cake and the love that he felt for her wasn't as beautiful as it was. And so that's what she's scared of. And now it takes the jury 5 minutes to find Janie innocent. And let's see what happens after that. So she was free, and the judge and everybody up there smiled with her and shook her hand, and the white women cried and stood around her like a protecting wall against the black attendees, who with heads hung down, shuffled out and away. The sun was almost down, and Janie had seen the sunrise of her troubled love, and then she had shot tea cake, and had been in jail, and had been tried for her life, and now she was free. So look at that polysyndeton there, the and. So that's kind of emphasizing how terrible of a day she's had. Like, terrible is an understatement. But it's showing all of the things that she has experienced and how it's built up and how heavy that is. Nothing to do with the little that was left of the day, but to visit the kind white friends who had realized her feelings and thank them. So the white women, after the verdict's read, cry for Janie's loss, and they protect her. They essentially surround her and embrace her, and the black community from the Glades see the verdict as a terrible defeat. And so, again, we see the complexities of discrimination and the complexities of kind of harsh judgments between groups of people. And so what is Hurston's purpose here? So Janie doesn't belong to either the black or white community. Since her parents are of different races, she doesn't belong to either community. As opposed to her being able to belong to both, she doesn't really belong to either. She's an outsider in both communities. And so the black community rejects her, believing that she's killed their friend. Actually, we're almost out of time, so we're going to pause there and pick back right up with what I was talking about. See you in a minute.